So what's going to happen is we are going to do our last two techniques. Then I'm going to pull all the seniors into a breakout room to go over our final exam because they're taking it this week. Underclassmen, you're taking the final exam next week, and we will discuss it on Monday. So I'm just going to fold my paper so that way it's easier for you guys to see my page. So this isn't a brand new paper. I'm just folding it. So first things first, with your pencil, on our number 3, optical illusion lines. That's what it's about. In the middle of your little box, you're just going to lightly draw a horizontal line. And the reason why we use pencil, because if you choose this one for your line page, you'll also be switching between pencil and pen. And it's to help with the optical illusion. That's why. Now, this next part, we're going to start connecting our top dashes to our bottom dashes. So the first one has to go to the first one, second to the second, third to the third. Even if they don't line up, that's perfectly fine. And you don't need to have straight lines. So for instance, my first one, I'm going to do a bit of a curve. My second one, I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a zigzag. And my third, I'm going to do a curve. My fourth, I'm going to do a low zigzag. Ooh, I like this. Now I'm making my lines really dark so that way you guys can see them. You do not have to. We're going to erase these at the end. So one thing you'll notice is that, stop lights. My lines, even though I'm doing curved or zigzag lines, they're not super, super sharp. Or I mean, I don't have a million zigzags. It's just like a couple big ones, really soft, easy curves. I'm not doing like ocean waves. And you don't want to do that either. It'll mess with you. Don't do it. You can have zigzags, just don't have 10 million zigzags. 2, 3, 4, that's not too bad. Anything more than 4, unless your page is very big. Like ours is very small. We're doing an example. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to switch back to our pen. Back to our pen. Now for this part, I want you to watch me first and then start. What we're doing is we put the same amount of lines on the left and the same number on the right. Because what's going to happen is we're going to start drawing straight lines, and they're going to start hitting our other lines in this little valley. And then they're going to end where we started. So if I'm on number 8, I got to end up on number 8 over here. The trick to making the optical illusion is with your first one, you're going to decide to go up or to go down. Either one works. Whenever you hit one of our lines that we made with our dashes, you're going to change direction. So for instance, I'm going to start up. I'm going to go up. I hit my line. Now I have to go down. I hit that next line. I have to go up. Then I have to go down. So you're kind of making like this little zigzag thing happening. When I get to that last line, I got to make sure I started on the first line. I need to end on the first line. Up. Now you can start down. If you start down, then when you hit that first line, you're going to go up. Down, up, down, up, down. I started up. Now the next lines are just going to follow that line. So I'm going to go up, down, up again, and end on my second line. Now what you'll notice is that some of my lines are really close together and some are a little bit more spaced out. That's fine. You kind of want that variation. It's going to give your picture a little bit more dynamic feel to it. And again, you're doing a straight line. A little wonky. Now we're going to keep going. When you get to that pencil middle line, I want you to stop. Don't go further. So I'm going to keep going, and then I'll check in with you guys when I get to my pencil middle line. And if you pick the optical illusion lines for your page, you, depending on how big your page is, you can do a few of these little horizontal line breaks. But what's going to happen is with my next line, next one I'm going to get started on, I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction. So instead of all of my lines going up, I'm going to start turning them down. So I'm going to start on my next one, but I'm actually going to start turning, oh, so easy. Oops. I went the wrong way. Just kidding, guys. Hold on. Let me fix this. Okay, so now I'm going to start going down. So I was going up. I'm going to start going down. So now that I've hit that line, I got to go opposite. I'm going to go up, down, up. And I'll kind of start to make a little bit of this diamond idea. Since we're just doing like a practice technique, this is a lot more obvious because we don't have that many lines. If you choose this for your project, this isn't as noticeable because you're doing a lot, like a larger version of this. So instead of going up with that first line, I'm starting the opposite way. So if you went down in the beginning, past that middle line, you're going to go up. For me, I started up. Now I'm going down. Once you finish that, once you finish doing all of your lines on the side, so you don't have any more of those parallel lines on the left or the right, now you're going to go back and we're going to erase those pencil lines. We're going to erase the little curved lines and that middle horizontal line. If your pen is super leaky, like mine was, just be very careful. You don't want your pen ink to smear. So here is why this works. Here's why our eyes even kind of play tricks on us. Now, since we were young, or actually even before then, back in caveman times, we have been trained to look for patterns. And we've also been trained, I would say, as distance-wise, like mountains, valleys. This optical illusion works because we perceive the lines as rising above a mountain and then falling into a valley and rising into a mountain and falling into a valley. If you have younger siblings, nieces, or cousins, Nowadays, we're just very, very trained at seeing patterns. So they'll always have homework that's like, oh, is this like this? Or they'll have coloring where they have to make a pattern, or they're learning about making a pattern. This is what happens with our eyes. We have all of these lines and they're going in one direction. So it's this implied direction, and we start to see a 3D effect happening. Like those parallel lines start to kind of mess with us in our eyes. And because we're online, if I like gently move my paper, it almost looks like the lines also move because of the screen. That's more to like having a screen in front of you. But there's a million versions of this technique, the optical illusion lines. This is just one of them. Everyone tends to like this one because it's really easy to do. It just takes a while to set up. That's the only thing. And if you have a ruler, it's even better. Even better. Okay, so number 4, our last one. So this last one is called vertical lines. Oh, I have so much pen. I need to get rid of this pen. Oh, well. Vertical lines. So for this technique, we're actually going to draw vertical lines. If you have a ruler or something that has a straight edge, you can always use this as well. I'm not. I'm just going to draw some vertical lines. Basically, I'm going to try to get them as straight as possible and as evenly spaced as possible, and try to get a good amount. I'm not going to give like 3. I'm trying to get quite a few. Now, while you're working on that, the challenge of this technique is staying vertical. There's also this technique as horizontal. In particular, I personally think that vertical lines are easier to draw straight than vertical lines. Vertical lines tend to get really wonky really quickly. But with this technique, you can't change direction. Your lines can be thicker, they can be thin, they can be broken. They just can't change direction. They all have to stay vertical. So with your pencil, switch to your pencil. What I want you to do is in this top left corner, we're going to draw a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Draw a circle. And then in the bottom right, draw another shape, any shape you want. This one we're going to do together. This one you're going to do on your own. So it can be a square, a star, a heart, a flower, a rectangle, whatever you want. Another circle, doesn't matter. I'm going to do a heart. So while we're waiting for everyone to catch up, the reason why this technique works is because we're thinking about our lines, because we're going to erase this pencil, but we're thinking about vertical lines kind of giving the illusion of depth, just like what we did last time. So what you want to think about is dark to light. So if I had a ball, the very like bottom would be kind of dark, and then it'd be a little bit more normal, and then it would get lighter if the sun was shining on it. We're going to do that same idea here. On the left, we're going to go dark, and then on the right, we're going to get lighter. So what I mean by this is the amount of lines. So this side is going to have a lot of lines, and then we're going to get less and less. Again, your lines can be thick, they can be broken, they can be thin. It's up to you. But we're going to start putting a lot of lines on the left and less lines to the right. So I'm just staying in my pencil line area. I'm actually going to get some of these lines, make them a little bit thicker. I'm gonna start dropping in some broken lines. Again, you gotta keep them vertical. Don't change the direction. They can get really, really close to each other. They just can't change direction. Again, I'm just using lines. I'm not changing it up. What I am adding, and you can kind of see it, are these broken lines. They're lines that sometimes touch the top, sometimes they don't. Now, typically when you see this technique online, it tends to be with portraits, like people's faces. And the reason why this works, again, it goes back to how our eyes perceive. If there are lines that are very, very, very close together, it tends to look darker. The more space between lines, there's more white paper showing, so it tends to look lighter. So you kind of give this illusion of a ball. So once you finish your lines, again, go back and erase your pencil circle. And if your pen is super leaky like mine, just be very careful. So now we're going to do the same thing with your other shape, but now you're going to decide, and you can even do top to bottom. So let's say you want to go dark from the right to the left, or from the bottom to the top. I'm going to try bottom to top actually. So same thing. I'm going to start dropping in some more lines. But at the bottom of my heart, I'm going to have a lot more vertical lines than the top. This time I'm going to try to not do thick lines. I'm going to try to just do my spacing, like get them really, really close together. If I can, because I don't have a ruler. Now, as I started doing my heart, I left a lot of space at the top, but once I erase my pencil lines, you won't notice that it's a heart. So I'm kind of just bringing some more of these lines to the top. Now, if you wanted to do this for your technique page, a lot of the examples are usually portraits. You don't have to do portraits. I can show you a very, very easy way to do portraits, but you do not have to.